Ordered that representatives of the MRA and Mayor's Office appear to provide an update on the ballpark project at the National Grid parcel. Councilor Matheson.
Councilor Matheson.
Thank you, Madam President. So about 5 years ago, there's some feedback. So about 5 years ago, the city embarked on this project to situate a ballpark on the National Grid site. The Field of Dreams. Thank you, Councilor. And every year I ask for an update, and we have had some along the way, but I don't think enough. I think it's time to get another update. So I'd like to invite the MRA director and the mayor or his representative to come down at the next televised council meeting and give us an update on where this project stands. I know that this was a pretty ambitious project that involved the eminent domain taking of several Malden businesses, and as well as a land exchange that the city was backing up as well. So this is something that I'd like to invite them over and get some more information on. Thank you.
On Councilor Matheson's motion to adopt the order to invite the mayor and the MRA to the council meeting scheduled for March 29th, which is the next full council meeting. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's passed. We will send a request out. Thank you.
Ordered that the City Council rules be amended to require that any meeting involving revenues and/or expenditures be televised and/or videotaped and made available to the public. Councilor D'Angelo.
Councilor D'Angelo.
Thank you, Madam President. And I think both of these, this one and then the next one coming up, can be done right now. I think we should all be able to agree that if we're discussing budgets and taking monies and spending monies and things like that, let's put them on TV. That's it. Very straightforward. I think we can do it now.
Councilor Kinnon.
Yes, I would like to second that motion and actually be a sponsor on it as well. I think if we're headed this direction and having committee meetings televised, then certainly the magnifying glass ought to be on us, probably ought to have been on us for years now on our spending plans in this city, and the real business happens in committees, and we probably should have them all on camera. But we should particularly have those things when we're discussing spending. It's going to become more and more evident as time goes forward that we probably should have been doing this all along. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kinnon. I'm just going to, Councilor Connon, if you just would give me the floor for 1 second. I'm just going to read Rule 54.00. And basically what it says is, these rules may be amended, repealed, or suspended whenever 2/3 of those present in voting shall so vote, provided that a motion to amend or repeal shall not be made and finally acted upon at the same meeting. So we cannot vote upon this evening. We could suspend the rules, but we'd have to have a little more discussion on that. So I'm going to try to go in order here. I believe I have Councilor Condon and then Councilor O'Malley. Okay, Councilor Condon.
Thank you, Madam President. The normal process would be to discuss any expenditures, transfers in Finance Committee and give a finance report to the entire committee, at which time, we have full opportunity to discuss it. So it seems as though we're going to committee as a whole on every finance paper just to have something televised. So, I mean, for years we've met in finance, we've had lively discussions, come out, our chairman of finance gives a full committee report. Anybody has an opportunity to question that committee report or vote against it, and there can be full discussion. So I just think that it's a big change up in this council. Any real important finance committee, I guess they're all important, can be televised. so that everybody can view what goes on in the finance committee, if that's the intent, but it seems as though it's going to a committee as a whole, each finance paper.
Thank you, Councilor Klein. Councilor D'Angelo, point of order.
Just point of order. To be clear on my motion, it is to be televised and/or videotaped, so that videotape can be made available to the public.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor O'Malley.
I move to refer to ordinance.
To refer to witness.
Sorry, a second.
We have a second by Councilor Matheson. I need to ask the clerk a question. Okay, we have two motions on the floor. The motion to adopt comes first. The motion. Correct. Okay, so we didn't do that, but the motion is sent to ordinance.
Yeah, we have a debate, or we shut down the debate now?
No, we're not shutting down the debate, trust me. I'm just trying to figure out, with two motions on the floor, what's going on, so just trying to kind of get a handle on it for a second. And we certainly, Councilor Kinnon, Councilor D'Angelo, yes, if you wanted your motion to be discussed tonight, you would have to enter a motion to suspend. But right now, I have every light here lit up, and I have absolutely no idea of which order they came in, first, second, and third. So, as president, I'm going to start from my right and work my way this way. Councilor Spatafora.
Thank you, Madam President. I support this. I support it because I think in the day of age, transparency is important. I think it often, to Council Conan's point of, the report does come to the Finance Committee, but there's oftentimes, I think, the debate behind that final recommendation is what I think the public should be part of, at least that process, whether it be on tape or live. We just recorded a meeting with the CPA gentleman who came in, and I've been always a councilor. I think the planning board, the Board of Appeals should be on TV too, because it's all too often those decisions have big ramifications, usually in the neighborhoods, and it's not well attended, as you know, unless it's a really hot topic. So, in my opinion, I don't think it's nothing that we're not doing automatically. I mean, what we're doing right now is a one-off. Would it be realistic to tape every one of our communities? Probably not, but we do that. Sometimes we do a public safety meeting if there was a crime spree or a lot of fires. We've taped that in the past. So to tape one of the important committees out there, whether it be an ordinance committee or finance committee, I have no problem with that. I think it's important that we have that ability to send it to the community. I don't see what the big deal is, to be quite honest with you. Logistics is probably my only concern from that is my standpoint, but that's something I think we could hopefully work out, whether it be it's just taped or it's live. We can work that through, but I support the paper. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Spatafora. Councilor Crowe,
Thank you. I think the logistics is really, if we have two meetings going on, how are we going to get them both taped? And since we have MATV every other week, and there's been plenty of times that the times that they usually aren't here, people have asked for meetings to be taped. So I think putting it in, maybe need some more discussion, but I think putting it in as a rule, what the meeting doesn't happen, if there's two different committees having financial discussions, even if it involves in ordinance and in finance or whatever committee is, it does have some financial implications. That meeting doesn't happen if we don't have two people from MATV or somebody taping it. So I think putting in a rule is a little too far. I think absolutely having, the chairperson request it be taped when they have a meeting that they want to be taped that's how we've done it in the past.
thank you, Councilor Crowe. Councilor Matheson.
Thank you, Chair. I too think this is a fine idea, but the rules say that this can't be voted on the same night it's proposed, and we have that rule for a reason too. I'm thinking back to one of the many rule changes that I proposed over the years. I remember an occasion where it went to the Rules Committee, and we all got together and talked about it. It turned out my idea wasn't the best one. But going through that process and putting our heads together makes a good rule proposal a better rule. And I think for that reason, Councilor O'Malley had a good point. Send it over to the committee. Let's make that rule the best rule it can be. Send it back out and let's pass it. As it stands now, we can televise any of our committee meetings at the call of the chair, and I think that's a great idea. So I'm completely for this, but let's debate it and make it the best rule it can be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Matheson. Councilor Anderson.
Yes, thank you. I think the idea of the transparency is a wonderful idea, and I don't think there's anyone up here that is opposed to it. I certainly am not. I think that our current protocol seems to be that we're televising many of the meetings that go on. But I tend to think that the logistics of this whole thing, if we're tying our hands to being able to televise every one of these meetings, and that would mean that the meetings that go on in our meeting room, we'd have to do some other kind of setting up of camera and activity. Because I don't really think that's the tape recordings that is the best way to communicate. I think if we're talking about communicating with the public, it should be communicating through the video, through MATV. So I tend to think that we need to discuss this in committee, figure out the best way to do it, because otherwise we're going to have to end up having every one of our committee meetings held out here, not in our committee room, and we have enough trouble as it is now with the double meetings that go on and our need for double meetings, that if we tie our hands to insisting that we can't discuss anything financial without having it televised, I think that we unduly tie our hands, and so I think I support Councilor O'Malley's motion that we send it to committee and let's figure out the best way to do this. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Councilor D'Angelo.
Yes, thank you. This is an order. This is an ordinance. This is an order that would change the rules. If it doesn't work next week, we change it back. We should suspend. I make a motion to suspend the rules right now. We should be able to do this easily. Thank you.
Councilor Condon or Councilor DiMaria? Councilor DiMaria.
Thank you, Madam President. I definitely support this paper, and I do agree with Councilor Matheson that it can go to committee to make sure when it comes out of committee, it is exactly the way we want it. Any transparency is wonderful for the community, but it's wonderful for us to watch what actually happened the second time around. So I would be supporting it to go further to committee for support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor DiMaria. Councilor Kinnon?
Yes, I see no problem with approving this this evening. As Councilor D'Angelo said, it is an order, it can be changed anytime. The fact of the matter is anything that's a financial paper that's going to pass is supposed to go through finance anyway. And the idea that we'd have conflicting meetings that couldn't happen, they could always be moved if that was the case. So it really doesn't pose that problem in 99.9% of the cases. I believe, given where we are, given that we can take ordinance committee meetings like tonight that took an hour and 15 minutes and was a one-sided show at best, certainly we should. I want the opportunity for the next ordinance meeting to give a presentation that shows the other side and the discrepancies of what Mr. Saginaw, who's very good about the CPA, but give the discrepancies about what he was talking about. So again,
If we're gonna take meetings like ordinance, we sure as heck should be taking finance so the people can see what goes on. Furthermore, I probably wouldn't be supporting this other than Councilor Condon has put something into committee to stifle debate. To stifle debate, he put a motion in 2 weeks ago, and that's not off topic. That's the reason I'm supporting this vehemently, is because he wants to stifle debate when it comes back up here and shut people down from speaking with the old way, the old rules, which was very effective when they ran the bags through. So thank you.
I have a Council President.
Yes. Councilor Condon.
I wish it was a little better at stifling debate, because maybe the council from Ward 6 wouldn't have spoke about nothing for 30 minutes a couple weeks ago, since he wants to try to attack me. The last thing I want to do is stifle any kind of debate. I'm willing to debate anybody on any single issue. Maybe I can't throw the facts and figures around, but I know how I feel about different issues. I know how I feel about the CPA. He felt it was a slanted presentation tonight. I thought we picked up a lot of information from the meeting. It's all how you want to look at something. 2 weeks ago, I don't think I ever stifled any debate. So I really don't know what the good council from Ward 6 is even talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Condon. I'm going to move the question. The question is to suspend docket rules.
And then suspend docket rules for a second.
Do we still? Okay, we can continue to discuss. I'm not going to shut discussion now. Councilor Spatafora. Excuse me, Councilor Spatafora.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilor O'Malley.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you
I did.
So just for,
Councilor Councilor O'Malley.
thank you, Madam President. So just for, I think, everyone's clarification up here and also the public, the first motion made was to adopt. The second motion was to refer to ordinance and rules. And then there was a motion to suspend the rules. I would like to move the questions. I have no more discussion. I just would like to move the questions.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Spatafora.
So I just have a question for the sponsor. So this says that I know it might go to ordinance anyways, but the city council rule be amended to require that any meeting including revenues and/or expenditures be televised or videotaped. My only question would be, would the sponsor mind just putting finance committee in there? Because if you have two committees that are talking, like the ordinance could be talking about something that would include revenue, we couldn't take them both at the same time. So there'd be a conflict inherited that way, again, logistics. So would the sponsor mind amending the paper if it is going to go to finance, issues the ordinance to say, amended to that any finance meeting to be televised and/or videotaped? Or is that too specific? That's my only question, Madam President. I don't know who wants that.
Yes.
So I would have a motion.
Yes, seeing as though I was asked if I was going to stop discussion and I said no, before we do anything, I would like to take a moment and have the floor. And what I would like to say is that I do believe in transparency. I think transparency is very good, but I think the logistics of putting this into place tonight, regardless of whether it can be changed next week or not, is not the right way to go. Councilor Matheson summed it up in my mind extremely well. This is a topic that needs to go to committee. We need to discuss it. We might have to go out and buy cameras. We have to check with MATV to see if they even have any staff that's available to do this. We're going to have to get a person to come in and actually tape this. All of this needs to be discussed, it needs to be vetted, and we need to make sure that we are not wasting anyone's time, and that we capture the type of discussion that we feel our constituents need to see. So I am not going to support passing this evening, but I will support sending it to committee, which is the place I believe it belongs. Okay, so basically, Councilor D'Angelo's motion to adopt was not in order because of the rules that exist. So I'm going to rule that out of order, which takes the next motion to Councilor O'Malley's motion to refer to Ordinance Committee. And we had a second, I believe, by Councilor Condon on that. So I would like a roll call on this, please.
Councilor Anderson.
Yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
Condon.
Yes.
D'Angelo.
Yes.
DeMaria. Kinnon.
Yes.
Matheson. O'Malley. Sika. Spatafora. Murphy.
Yes. The paper will be referred to witness.
Ordered that City Council rules be amended to allow debate on all votes to be taken. Councilor D'Angelo.
Councilor D'Angelo.
Thank you, Madam President. So to be clear here, I'm going to ask to make a motion to suspend the rules. This is something we should absolutely do right now. And inadvertently, a couple of weeks ago, I think it came up because there was a little bit of a filibuster going on. So when it came out of the filibuster and there was a vote, I actually inadvertently voted one way where I would have voted the other way, but the filibuster was pulled off over such a period of time. It was just, kind of lost track there. So to me, we should never shut down debate. And I believe there was a motion made, it was either 2 meetings ago or 3 meetings ago, where it was, we were required to just vote. There was no debate. And I think that was the motion. So what my thing is saying here is that should be not allowed. There should never not be an opportunity to debate. That's what we're elected to do. Again, I move suspension of rules. I'm looking for a second. We should do this right now. Thank you.
I would like to debate.
I want a roll call on suspending the rules to discuss this.
Councilor Anderson.
No.
Crowe.
No.
Condon.
No.
D'Angelo.
Yes.
DeMaria.
No.
Kinnon.
Yes, let's free debate.
Matheson.
No.
O'Malley.
No.
Sika.
No.
Spatafora. Murphy.
No. The rules are not suspended.
So do I still have the floor then?
So you get another motion to refer to ordinance?
Yes, no, I have another motion. And really, before I make a motion, I'd like to first talk a little bit about the United States Constitution. And really what we're talking about is we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, ensure the blessings of liberty, to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish the Constitution for the United States of America. If we don't have debate, debate is what every level of government we have here in the United States of America is based on. Whether it's town meeting, city council, a state legislature, Congress, without debate, you have nothing. So I don't understand how we cannot vote to suspend the rules, to take up a motion that says, at this point going forward, we're not going to allow anything to go without the option of debate. How is that not 11-0 to suspend the rules and then 11-0 to say, yeah, you know what, we made a mistake. We made a mistake one time, and we got sidetracked for whatever reason. How that is possible, I don't understand. So now let me just get this straight. So now we're going to start taking up or down votes on everything. And what we're going to do is we're going to have people up here proclaiming how much they like something. Just like last week, I think, I'm trying to remember the meeting was in, but I heard every counselor say how against apartment buildings they were. Every single one. But yet, I was the only one who voted against, quite arguably, the biggest and most significant apartment building project to come to the city of Malden. So that's what we're in store for with these up or down votes, because that's what because there'll be no debate. So you'll hear all of this via the media or via subcommittee meetings or via everything else saying how much in favor you are. But then there'll come time to vote, and because there's no debate, you'll just vote one way, and the people will never know. I just don't understand this. This is, perhaps somebody else could shed some light on this for me. I wonder if our city clerk can tally up how many times since she's been city clerk, how many votes have been taken without debate, and how often or how commonplace that is to have a legislative body, which to me, that's why you're elected. You're elected to debate. We're not always going to agree up here, but I think we get to a better place when we have debate. So I don't understand. So now I'm going to stop speaking and everybody's going to say, oh, but of course I'm in favor. Well, if you're in favor, then why didn't you just vote to suspend the rules? To do this very obvious thing, to say, yes, of course we'll allow debate. And we believe in that so much that we're going to have a rule. And don't say, well, of course we're going to. No, because the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this just happened 3 weeks ago or something, where a motion was made, and it prevailed, by the way. And the motion was to vote on something without debate. To me, that is completely unacceptable. I'm very interested, and I'd like to reserve the remainder of my time if I'm allowed to do that, Madam President. If not, I can keep going. But if not, if you'll allow that, if you'll allow me to then have the floor, I would like to hear the other side of this. I would like to hear why you wouldn't want debate. Thank you, Madam.
Councilor D'Angelo, of course, you'll have the opportunity to speak again. That's your first time on this topic. We have in order, was it Councilor Kinnon or Councilor O'Malley? Councilor O'Malley, then Councilor Matheson, then Councilor Anderson.
I definitely agree with everything that Councilor D'Angelo said. I do think debate is very important. I also do think that getting things done this year is also very important. And so with that, I would move to refer to ordinance and rules.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Okay, Councilor Matheson.
Thank you, Council President. Of course I support debate. There are, according to Robert's rules, very limited purposes where there is no debate. The one that comes to mind is a tabling motion. Under all other circumstances, debate is allowed and encouraged. And I can't discern too many times in our past that the chair has not allowed people to speak when they call for that right. They press a button, the light lights up. Sometimes they get 2 or 3 occasions to speak. I don't know exactly what this would change as far as our procedures, but just like the last rule change that was proposed, I would like to see this go to committee for no other reason than to identify the chapter that is going to be amended, what the words are going to say, and actually the difference that it's going to be performed. Those things are important. They'll come right out of committee. We've got a very motivated chairperson of ordinance. He agreed with the last order. He's going to call it an ordinance committee. They're going to tackle these rules. They're going to write them. They're going to name the rule that's going to be changed and what it should be changed to. But I really don't see a deficiency in our debate. I see tons and tons of debate. I think we debate more than most other bodies. And as far as reserving the remainder of your time, that's something members of Congress do because they actually receive a time limit. Your time to speak is unlimited on this table. Councilor Kinnon proved that last month. He spoke longer than my voice would allow me to. God bless him. But I don't think that there is a problem with debate. But if this rule is a good one, and I'm sure there's a way we can write a good rule here, that's going to get done in the ordinance committee. Thank you. I'll make a motion to refer to ordinance. Oh, then a second, Councilor O'Malley's motion.
Okay. Next, Councilor Anderson.
Yes, but although it's been moved and seconded that it goes to committee, and I'm going to support that it goes to committee. We are having debate on it before it goes to committee, I would assume. But I think, I don't know what Councilor D'Angelo is talking about. If he's saying that we do not have debate here on the city council, I'm interested in knowing what situations you're talking about where debate has been shut off. You know, I think it's already been said. We debate a great deal. And to sit and read the Constitution to us as if we don't understand that this is a deliberative body and that we need to be debating, to give the impression that we are shutting off debate, I think is just false. I don't think that's accurate at all. I think our history will say it differently. It says that we debate all the time. So, yeah, I guess I would like to see what it actually happens. I mean, I've been on the city council for a long time, and I hear debate constantly. I think someone mentioned there was the filibustering debate that took place for a half an hour a few weeks ago, and that went on. So to portray that debate is stifled here, I think is inaccurate. I'm glad to send it to committee, but I have no illusion that we do not have debate here in the City Council. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Councilor Condon.
Thank you, Council President. Looking back, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I think, everybody agreed on this council to send out a survey. Everybody had every opportunity to debate that if they disagreed on it. Everybody voted to send out the survey with the water bills the 1st of March. Then we get hit with a reconsideration because it's within our rules, and when it comes up to debate it, the only thing we get is there was one councilor missing that didn't have an opportunity to vote. He voted for it to begin with. We're talking about debate here. I have no problem with people disagreeing with me, but I do have a problem when people try to stifle things and set us back. I'd like to get things done here. I think the council from 6 was referring to public property meeting. which I plan on having another public property meeting to see if we can address a lot of those concerns that came up. And I've been in contact with Councilor O'Malley, who's been working on it, and hopefully that will satisfy everybody, and everybody will get an opportunity to debate the issue next week. So I just think that there's a lot of things going on here. I'm not used to seeing them go on in the city council. They take you by surprise, and I think it doesn't shed a good light on this council as we move along. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilor Condon. Councilor Kennan?
Yes, Councilor, yes, Madam President. And because my name was mentioned twice on what they called a filibuster, I must respond for those who weren't privy to seeing what has been called a filibuster, because it was not on TV that night. And we bounced a lot of papers back into ordinance, some that had been here in this council for over 2 years. And they're now sitting in ordinance, never to be taken up, I assure you, when they should have been killed 3-4 weeks ago. And one of those papers was one of my own on the Community Preservation Act, which I wanted killed. And there's councilors up here who have not, and not that they're on ordinance, nor should they have, educated themselves fully in the CPA and how the committees are set up across the state, and how we have some that have elected members on them. In fact, Mr. Saginaw was in tonight, and nearly every member of his board has a CPA committee and has elected members on their CPA committee in their town. 16 out of 50 members in those towns. And what I read that night, if you had paid attention, was actual ordinances, CPA committees from communities. I didn't waste your time if you paid attention. And I was trying to get people to pay attention to the fact that yes, indeed, many, many communities across this state have elected members. So that was effective debate for those paying attention. And sometimes, and I wish I had known about this idea of filibuster when I was first on the council and debate was stifled on ramming through trash bags when Councilor Condon was here. And in fact, I called in Finance Committee 4 times for public hearings. Couldn't even get a second. Not a second for discussion. Those days are long gone because the council learned their lesson. But 2 weeks ago, or last week, a councilor recommended a rule back to ordinance that would say that you could not, that in a given night, we could shut down and have the no reconsideration rule come back up, which would absolutely stifle debate. That rule should die in committee, because that rule is only meant for that. Reconsideration has only come up a few times in my whole entire career on this council. So I'm sorry that Councilor Condon, who's come back from his 4-year hiatus, isn't happy with that new rule. But you, the taxpayer, should be. Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Condon.
I don't know how you can sit there as a council president and allow personal attacks from the council from Ward 6. I refer to him the council of Ward 6. I don't name him by name, okay? And I think it's out of order, and I think you should recognize that as the council president.
Thank you, Councilor Condon. I do agree everyone should be called councilor in their last name.
Oh, he's out of order.
By not saying councilor?
By attacking another member, I feel he's out of order. Refer to me as a council from Ward 2.
Councilor D'Angelo was first, and then Councilor Di Maria.
Thank you. I'm looking for the minutes here, but I guess I'm just, perhaps the clerk can clarify that what I indicated did indeed occur, that there was a vote, and the motion was to vote without debate. Did that or did that not occur, or am I in error?
I believe that it did, but I would have to go look at my minutes.
My motion. Thank you.
All the lights were off, Councilor Anderson, if you'll. Oh, Councilor Di Maria, your lights are on. Wait, Councilor Di Maria, you could not have the opportunity to say anything, so I'll give you the opportunity, and then I'd like to move this question.
Yes, and actually, Council President, that's what I'd like to do at this time. With us here as the elected body for the city of Malden, I really think we should move this to ordinance. We have a motion to move this, excuse me. We have a motion to move this, and we have a second. And I think at this time, the city of Malden would like us to move forward with this and send it to ordinance. Thank you.
Councilor Anderson.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I think that the reference to us having something that we shut off debate was an item that we had debated a great deal before. And so we were about to hear the same thing over and over. That's not the same as not having debate on the subject. So for Councilor to represent that as a shutting off debate is inaccurate. Thank you.
Okay, with all lights, I want to. David, there is a limitation, and you have spoken. Okay, but right now, we need to just move this to ordinance. Move the question. I believe we have a motion, suspension failed, and we have a motion to move this to ordinance. To Councilor D'Angelo, I'm not sure what good that this will do at this point. It's
But that's the point of my paper. We shouldn't be able to do that. There shouldn't. That's the point of my paper. We shouldn't be able to make that motion be voted on without debate. Here, read it.
I'm calling the question for a vote. To refer Councilor D'Angelo's motion to ordinance where we can have this debate, and when it comes back out of ordinance, we can have it all over again on the floor if we have to. But right now, we need to get this into ordinance so we can look at it, and once again, I will go back to Councilor Matheson, who has quite a nice way of putting things. We need to know what the rule is. We need to know what the wording is. We need to understand what we're voting on. And I will tell you, at this point, I do not, because I do not have it all in front of me. I have not had time to digest it. I am in favor of debate, but this needs to go to ordinance so we can make sure, if we're going to ensure the validity of debate on the floor, that we do it correctly. A roll call, yes, please. On referring to ordinance.
Councilor Anderson. Yes. Crowe. Yes. Condon. Yes. D'Angelo. Yes. Di Maria. Yes. Kinnon. Yes. Matheson. Yes. O'Malley. Yes. Sika. Yes. Spatafora. Yes. Murphy.
Yes.